this is Ingi from Taringi and I'm going to talk about Knight of Swords today. Knight of Swords is actually a card for the soldier and someone who served often in war. Can mean someone who is a soldier. It can also mean having a warrior spirit as well. But this is really, of all the knights, the most soldiering on card. And you can see it in the symbolism in the Rider-Waite, with charging ahead, fast, not holding back, just going for it. This card can also speak of someone who is challenging you, someone who's not afraid of conflict, someone who needs to have resolution. So if you've had conflict with somebody and you're asking what's going to happen, this card can mean that this person wants resolution with you, that you're going to have some kind of battle or fight, but at least you're going to find out what's going on and you're going to be able to work it out, or even if it means that maybe you can't work it out, but at least it's not going to be stuck. It's not going to be like a stuck situation. In a love reading, this card can speak of finding love when you least expect it. It can be with someone that you didn't expect to find love with, because this is someone who is challenging. So it can also speak of a relationship that is a little bit challenging, that is a bit competitive, that is a little bit combative even as well. And maybe also they are fighting each other, and maybe they're growing that way in the relationship. It can mean a love-hate relationship. And if the seeker is single, it can mean that they're being chased by someone who is challenging them and maybe very confusing for the seeker. If this person loves them or hates them, it's hard to know, because with Knight of Swords you're going to get both. In a career reading, Knight of Swords can mean careers in the military, but it can also mean an activist or someone who is who wants to create change by grabbing it. Like, rather than debating for it, they will just take the change that they need, they want, they demand it. It can also mean someone who wants an action-oriented career. It can mean like going in war zones as a journalist or photographer, or going and talking about something that will be like a battle, like certain subjects that are very dangerous to talk about, but this is someone who will go and talk about all those things, even if it's going to cost them. It's more a yes than a no in a yes-no question. Knight of Swords has feelings, is someone who has feelings of combativeness, and they could fight their own emotions. They could be very argumentative as a result. They just feel that they need to have their opinions heard, and they have such a strong need to communicate. And if you're asking how someone is feeling about you, it can mean that this person needs you to hear and understand them. And if you ignore them, they will act out. They're not going to tolerate being ignored. And often they want to clear the air, but sometimes Knight of Swords can also mean that there is some bad blood between you, and it can cause a lot of restlessness in the person who wants to have some kind of resolution, and they want to have some kind of discussion or even a fight with you. Knight of Swords can also mean that this is someone who's not really in contact with their feelings very much, and they're hiding it in their head. They're flighty as well sometimes, and it can mean that they say things that they don't really mean because they're so impulsive with their words, and they can sometimes hurt people that way. Knight of Swords as a person is someone who is they can be confrontative, but they're also very clever and very intelligent. They're talkative, opinionated. They like to have a fight. They're competitive. They're animated often. They will grab your attention one way or the other. They often accomplish quite a lot of things, and they're very brave, especially where other people want to run and hide. They are the ones that are sticking their necks out often. But they lack in diplomacy, and they often step on people's toes. They often say things that can be offensive to people. And if someone say they're not allowed to say something, then that's when they're going to say it the most. They give as good as they get, but they always make sure that they give extra, because if someone crosses them, they make sure that they cross that person back. They always want to get someone back. They go for revenge, and but they like to get their last knife in. They are quick thinker, fast walker and talkers. They speed often when they're driving. They need everything to happen now. They're impatient. When Knight of Swords are reversed, it can mean someone who has problems using their minds. It can speak of someone with a learning disability, some even mental health problems, or maybe even a speech impediment. But it can also just mean, when Knight of Swords is reversed, it can also mean that you are unable to speak the truth, that you have to say something that is a lie, that for some reason truth has been denied. So you could have been, maybe you experienced censorship as well. And so it's like the seeker is unable to express themselves. And it can also mean, if it's a general situation, that there needs to be more attention to details, and also needing a bit more clear thinking, and also be able to speak the truth. Sometimes it can mean that you have some kind of information that you have gathered, but maybe you worked really hard to bring something to the forefront, but then other people are stealing your idea or information, or they're stealing some intellectual property from you even, especially if you get it with Seven of Swords. And it can also mean false information spreading, lies spreading. If you're going to go traveling and you get this card, it can mean that the travels will be delayed for some reason as well. Maybe you thought you were going somewhere, either just metaphorically like going somewhere in your life, or you were actually traveling somewhere and for some reason the door is shut unexpectedly. Knight of Swords as a personality type, when it's reversed, it's someone who they're unable to listen to others. They need to win an argument at all costs, and they quarrel for the sake of it. So it's like a more intense version of Knight of Swords. So they can be someone who is lacking boundaries, and they could just be upsetting people just for the sake of it, driving people mad just for the sake of it. They test you, they push your buttons. So it can mean that you're utterly exhausted after spending time with a person like this. That can also mean that you're meeting somebody who brings out kind of the worst in you as well. That this is someone who's just triggering you too much, and you really need some kind of like an energetic break from this person. If you do get Knight of Swords reversed, take a step back and go into the Page of Swords. They're just as clever, but they don't need as much back in response. Like Knight of Swords people need a lot of feedback. They need a lot of attention. Page of Swords don't need as much, so they're more harmonious. If you do get Knight of Swords with Judgment, it can mean that there is that you're being called by divinity. You feel like it's a higher calling in your life to be more courageous in your life, to speak up more, to speak the truth. Let's find out what Knight of Swords mean in a tarot reading from the runes perspective. Sometimes when you do this oracle mixing, you get more information, new information, things you didn't even think about before. The only rune that showed itself was Tyr, which is a warrior rune. So this is definitely the card for the soldier, Knight of Swords. But the way it fell above, so it's 3 runes below it. So it's almost like thoughts. So basically what the runes are saying is that we can all be a warrior for good. We can all be someone who fights for more justice and more fairness. And you can connect up to God, and you can ask how you can be of service in a way that maybe help someone who needs protection, or help someone who needs the words of truth to be spoken. So Knight of Swords is a message that just by speaking the truth, you can heal a situation. Just by saying what no one else dares to say, you can help so many people. So the Knight of Swords really is a soldier of truth. So that's what it means. And we're often divinely inspired to speak up with Knight of Swords. So it's not about being someone who wants just attention and throwing words around. It's much more deeper than that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this card. The next card I'm going to speak about is Queen of Swords. Bye.